"We're remodeling, you're covering half." My sister texted with a $92,000 contractor quote for her house. "Mom says it's your turn to help." I replied, "No." She sent a voice note. "Then don't expect a Christmas invite." I didn't reply. On December 24th, she posted photos. "Family first." I commented, "Nice. P.S. The car in your driveway mine. Tow truck's on the way." 10 minutes later, when my brother's Facebook post popped up, I thought it was one of those memory things. It wasn't. It was live. Posted 7 minutes ago. Family Thanksgiving. No drama. No disappointments this year. So thankful for the real ones. Big smiling group shot around the table. My parents. My brother Nate with his arm around his wife. His two stepkids. My aunt. Even my parents' neighbor. The guy who borrows tools and never returns them. Every face tagged. Every chair full. I zoomed in on the background without meaning to. The wallpaper. The old light fixture, the chipped cabinets. I'd always meant to replace my house. Technically, legally, the house is mine, the mortgage, the insurance, the property taxes that autodraft out of my account. On the 15th, I glanced at my own dining table. It was just me and my two kids, Ben and Lily, eating takeout lo mein out of the cartons. Their mom lives in another state, so Thanksgiving was supposed to be Dad's year. Instead of turkey, we had cold noodles. Instead of family, we had a Facebook post. Ben, 11, leaned in next to me and squinted at my phone. "Hey," he said. "That's Grandma's house." My throat tightened. "No, buddy," I said. "That's my house." Lily sat cross-legged on the couch, sketchbook in her lap. She looked up, quiet, 8-year-old eyes going straight to the photo. She scanned the faces twice. "Where are we?" she asked. I felt my hands start to shake around the phone. We hadn't been invited. They hadn't forgotten. A week earlier, my mom had texted me. "Keeping it small this year, just immediate household and Nate's family. Too much drama last year. You do something low-key with the kids." Smiley face. And now here was keeping it small. Complete with neighbors and an aunt who only shows up when there's free food. No drama. No disappointments, no us. I didn't call. I didn't text. I just hit like. Then I tapped comment and typed slowly with both thumbs. "Beautiful. By the way, the house you're in, I own it. Enjoy your Thanksgiving there. Selling it December 2nd. I read it twice. It looked insane and perfectly reasonable at the same time. My thumb hovered for a second. Then I hit post. Within 30 seconds, I saw a scene by Nate and scene by Mom. For minutes later, the entire post disappeared. 20 minutes after that, my phone started going off like a fire alarm. By the time I turned the ringer off, I'd counted 97 missed calls. I'm Henry, 42. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm a dentist. Not fancy. Roadfront office between a nail salon and a UPS store. Half my job is fillings and the other half is convincing people floss isn't a scam. Divorced for 3 years. 2 kids. Ben is all elbows and sarcasm. Lily is quiet, careful, the kind of kid who folds candy wrappers before throwing them away. I was also apparently the family ATM. Started small like these things always do. My parents never had a lot. My dad worked at a factory until it closed. My mom bounced between part-time jobs. They weren't lazy, they were just always one bill behind. When I got into dental school, they were proud. Told everyone at church their son was going to be Dr. Parker. What they didn't mention was the student debt I would be dragging behind me into middle age. Right after I finished my residency, the calls began. First time, my parents were 3 months behind on their mortgage. My mom sobbed on the phone. I wired them $4,000. Dad said he'd pay me back when things picked up. Things never really picked up. Over the next 10 years, I co-signed on their new house when their credit tanked. I covered a full HVAC replacement, $7,200. I paid off $3,500 of Nate's emergency credit card debt. I added my parents to my cell phone plan because the landline is so expensive, honey. I started sending them $300 a month just to help with prescriptions. When their second house started falling apart, I bought a nicer place in a better neighborhood as an investment. That's the one in the Facebook photo. The mortgage is $1,900 a month. My parents pay me $750 when they can. Some months they skip it and call it tight right now. We'll catch up next month. They almost never catch up. My brother Nate temporarily moved in with them after his latest business venture crashed. 2 years later, he was still there. His name isn't on the lease. His income is creative. Facebook Marketplace, Uber, whatever. On paper, it looked like they were my tenants. In reality, I was their safety net. The weird part, I could have lived with that. What I couldn't live with was how they treated my kids. When Ben was born, my mom posted a picture captioned, "Our first grandson. Sweet. Excited. Lots of heart emojis." When Lily was born, the caption was, "Another one, lol." No name, no hearts, just another one. I tried to laugh it off, but there were patterns. At Christmas, Nate's stepkids got iPads from Nana and Grandpa. My kids got a board game from the clearance bin and a pack of socks. On the group chat, there were daily updates about the stepkids' soccer goals, school plays, lost teeth. My kids were tell them we said hi. The worst was last Christmas. We were at my house because my mom insisted Christmas is at Grandma's. That's how it's always been. Lily had spent 3 days drawing a picture of the house with Christmas lights. All of us holding hands in front. She got the shutters right. She even drew Nate's stepkids. She handed it to my mom when we came in, cheeks pink from the cold. My mom glanced at it. "Oh, that's nice, honey," she said, already turning back to the stove. She left the drawing on the counter next to a wet ring from a glass. 10 minutes later, Nate's oldest gave her a scented candle from Target. My mom gushed over it like it was a diamond necklace. The drawing ended up under a pile of junk mail. That night, my kids slept on an air mattress in the den while Nate's stepkids had the guest room because they're here full-time. I thought full-time in the house I own. I still said nothing. I kept telling myself, they're old. They don't realize what they're doing. It's not on purpose. Then came the keeping it small text about Thanksgiving. Then the post. No drama. No disappointments. No us. Something snapped. After I posted my comment, I put my phone face down on the coffee table. "Who wants more noodles?" I asked. Ben gave me a look. "Dad, are we in trouble with Grandma?" "No," I said. "If anyone's in trouble, it's the people eating food in my kitchen." He snorted, surprised. Lily leaned against my arm. "Are we going there?" she asked. "No," I said. "We're staying home." That decision felt bigger than it sounded. When the kids went to their rooms, I picked my phone back up. A text from my mom flashed first. "Mom. Henry, what on earth is this comment? You don't put family business on Facebook. Call me then." Nate, dude, delete that. You're making us look bad. It was just a joke." Then a voicemail from my mother. "Henry, this is your mother. That house is our home. I don't know what possessed you to threaten us online, but this is not funny. You cannot just sell the house because your feelings are hurt. Call me back right now and we will talk this out. I am so disappointed in you." "Disappointed in me?" I set the phone down before I said something I couldn't unsay. Then I went to my laptop. I didn't make a pros and cons list. I didn't ask myself what a good son would do. I just opened my email and typed Cheryl Realtor into the search bar. I hit call. She picked up with a cheerful, "Hey, Dr. Parker, happy Thanksgiving." "Hey, Cheryl. I'm sorry to bug you on a holiday." I said, "I need to sell a house." She laughed, then heard my tone. "Okay, which one?" "The Oakage property." Pause. "The one your parents live in." "That's the one." I said, "I want it listed December 2nd if possible." "That's in a week," she said. "We can start the paperwork." "Sure. You'll need to give your tenants notice." "I will." I said, "Just get the ball rolling. Use the old listing photos for now. Whatever you need." We talked numbers. The market was decent. I'd walk away with a good chunk after paying off the mortgage. When I hung up, my call log showed 30 missed calls. Next, I logged into my bank account. I canceled the automatic transfer that covered my parents' phone bill. I canceled the $300 monthly help with prescriptions deposit. Then, I opened the savings account labeled Family Emergencies with $15,000 in it. In my head, that money had always been for them. Roof repairs, medical bills, whatever. I transferred every cent into a new account labeled Ben and Lily. Their one clean financial line in the sand. I closed the laptop and finally exhaled. It didn't feel good. Felt solid. They didn't wait long. At 9 a.m. the next morning, someone started pounding on my door like the house was on fire. I opened it a crack. My parents stood there, coats unzipped. Nate behind them with his arms crossed. "Henry," my mother said, pushing past. "Hello. What is this nonsense about selling the house?" I stepped outside and pulled the door mostly closed behind me so the kids wouldn't hear every word. "It's not nonsense," I said. I called the realtor. "The house goes on the market December 2nd. You'll get formal notice." My dad's face went red. "You can't do that." "Can't," I said. "My name is on the deed." Mom's voice went up half an octave. "We are your parents. That is our home. We have lived there for 5 years. You bought it for us. I bought it as a rental property, I said, keeping my tone level. I let you live there at a discount. I've been covering the difference, the taxes, and your bills on top of that. And yesterday, I watched you host a Thanksgiving for the real ones in my house while my kids ate Chinese takeout with me in a rental. Nate rolled his eyes. This is about Facebook. You're nuking everything over a caption. It's not just a caption, I said. It's how you actually feel. You just finally wrote it down. Mom waved a hand. Oh, for heaven's sake. It was a joke. A silly joke. A joke is turkey coma or so much pie. Send help, I said. Calling a holiday no disappointments when your son and his kids weren't invited. That's not a joke. That's a message. Dad jabbed a finger at me. Where your blood? You don't throw your blood out on the street because you're sulking. You're not on the street. I said you'll have 60 days. I'm not raising your rent. I'm not charging you for January. I am simply ending a financial arrangement that has never been acknowledged or appreciated. My mom's eyes filled with tears. We did everything for you. We sacrificed so much so you could be a dentist. I appreciate that, I said. That's why I've spent 10 years making sure you never missed a payment. But you don't get to erase my kids and still expect my money. Nate finally jumped in. What did we do to your kids, Henry? Seriously, no one yelled at them. No one hit them. We just had dinner. You weren't even here. That's the point. I said, you had family Thanksgiving in my house. You invited neighbors and an aunt who complains about everything. But not us. And then you labeled it no drama, no disappointments. My son saw that, Nate. My daughter saw that. Mom shook her head. Children are resilient. You're making a big deal out of nothing. My daughter spent last night asking why Grandma didn't want her there. I said softly, that's not nothing. My dad snorted. Kids bounce back. That's what they do. We're talking about a roof over our heads. And I'm talking about a roof over their hearts. I said, I'm not going to keep paying for a stage where they get treated like extras. Nate shifted tactics. Okay. How about this? We start paying full rent. Market rate. I'll get a roommate. Whatever. Mom and Dad will give you more, too. You keep the house. We stay. And you stop acting. Like Mom's Facebook post killed your kids. He looked proud of himself. Like he'd found the magic compromise. A year ago that would have worked. Now it just sounded like what it was, a bribe to stay in control. It's not about the money anymore, I said. I'm selling the house. You will need to find somewhere else to live. I'm not your backup bank. I'm not your landlord. I'm just your son, and you don't seem very interested in that version of me. There was a long silence. Mom finally whispered, you're going to regret this when we're gone. I swallowed. Maybe, I said. But I already regret sitting at my own table explaining to my kids why they weren't good enough for yours. I stepped backward toward the door. You'll get the notice in writing, I said. I won't argue about this anymore. And I shut the door. I stood there with my hand on the knob, listening to their voices through the wood. My mother crying, my dad swearing, Nate saying, we'll see about this. He can't just. Ben's bedroom door creaked. He peeked out. Is Grandma mad? Yeah, I said. She's really mad. He hesitated. Are you in trouble? I thought about it. No, I said. Not this time. The written notice made it real. That night I typed up a letter. Mom and Dad, as you know, I am the legal owner of the Oakage property. I have decided to sell the house. It will be listed on December 2nd. This letter is 60 days notice to vacate the property. I will not charge you January's rent. Effective immediately, I will no longer be covering your phone bill or other recurring expenses. I love you both, but I won't continue to fund a family my kids are not part of. Henry, I printed it, put it in an envelope, drove over and slid it through their mail slot. No discussion, no argument, just facts. My mom texted an hour later. I cannot believe you put that in writing. You are making us homeless over your ego. I am ashamed to call you my son. I stared at it for a while, then put my phone down. A little later, my cousin Dana called. Okay, she said without preamble. What happened? You saw the post? I asked. Yep, she said. Saw it. Saw your comment. Went to show my husband and it was gone. Aunt Carol's group chat is on fire. I rubbed my eyes. Yeah, they threw a no disappointments Thanksgiving in my house and didn't invite me or the kids. So, I decided they can find a new house for next year. Dana was quiet for a second. I'm supposed to talk you down right now, she said. But I can't. It's been messed up for a long time. I blinked. You noticed, Henry? She said. We all noticed. The way your mom talks about Nate's stepkids like they're royalty and sometimes forgets your kids' birthdays. It's gross. We just figured you were okay with it since you kept paying for everything. I wasn't okay, I said. I was just hoping they grow out of it. Well, they didn't, she said. I'm proud of you. Even if everyone else is calling you the Grinch in the family chat. I snorted that tracks. Hey, she added. If your parents end up needing help finding a place, they can call me. But don't you dare feel guilty for not being their landlord anymore. You've done your time. After we hung up, I went to check on the kids. Lily was drawing at the kitchen table. She had drawn our tiny rental's living room this time. Couch, TV, the three of us. No grandparents, no cousins, just us. Watch your drawing, I asked. Home, she said. That word hit harder than anything my mother had said. The next few weeks were a lesson in how quickly people can rewrite a story. My parents told anyone who would listen that I'd kick them out before Christmas for one little mistake. Nate texted me screen recordings of apartments he could never afford and wrote, "This is what you're doing to your parents." I answered exactly once. You are adults. You can all work. You can all apply for apartments. I will not discuss the sale of the house again. He replied, wow, stone cold. And a few more things I didn't open. The house hit the market on December 2nd. By December 8th, we had 2 offers. I accepted one from a young couple expecting twins. They walked through the house with big eyes, talking about where the crib would go, how they'd host their first Thanksgiving with no drama. I bit my tongue at that part. My parents were polite to them during showings. My mom later told someone I forced strangers into her home on short notice. Meanwhile, at my place, I planned Christmas. Felt weird, freeing, and terrifying at the same time. I asked the kids what they wanted to do. No one mentioned grandmas. Can we just stay here? Ben asked. And maybe have Malik over. My assistant, he's basically family. Can we make cinnamon rolls instead of turkey? Lily added. Done. I said on Christmas Eve I bought a cheap photo album, the kind with plastic sleeves. I printed out a few pictures of just the 3 of us making pancakes at the park on the couch last year with a lopsided little tree. On the first page, I wrote in my neat dentist handwriting, Parker family, the ones who show up. Christmas morning, we opened presents in pajamas. Ben got the used guitar he'd been eyeing at the pawn shop. Lily got a real art set with paints and brushes. Everything had their names on it. No shared gifts. No, you can play with your cousins, just theirs. Halfway through the morning, my phone buzzed. Dana again. She sent a photo from my parents' new apartment. They'd found a small place across town. Beige walls, small tree on a side table. My parents, Nate, his wife, the stepkids, no neighbors, no aunts. The caption, my mom had written, First Christmas in the new place. Weird year, but grateful. No real ones. No disappointments. Dana's text underneath. There's a giant elephant in this room wearing your face. Just so you know. I stared at the photo for a second, then slid my phone face down on the table. Everything okay? Ben asked. Yeah, I said. Just different this year. He looked around at the piles of wrapping paper and the mess on the floor. I like different, he said. So did I. The house sale closed in January. I went to the title company, signed my name a dozen times, and handed over keys with a polite smile. The buyers were excited. They talked about paint colors and baby gates. Afterwards, I sat in my car in the parking lot for a minute. That address had been home base for my family for 5 years. Now, it was just an address I no longer had to pay for. My dad called that night from a new number. You really did it, he said. I told you I would. I said, you sold our home. I sold my property. I corrected. You have your own place now. He snorted. Some son you turned out to be. I'm still your son. I said, I'm just not your landlord or your bailout fund anymore. He was quiet for a second. You'll need us someday, he said. Family always does. I needed you a lot. Actually, I said when I got divorced. When I was juggling the practice and the kids, when they were being left out of holidays, you weren't there. So I adjusted my expectations. He didn't like that answer. He hung up. I didn't call back. The closure didn't come with a big speech or a dramatic cutoff. Came almost a year later at our next Thanksgiving. By then, the yelling had died down. My parents still sent the occasional text, random articles, church announcements, but never anything that looked remotely like an apology. I answered rarely and politely. I made one rule for myself. If someone treats my kids like they don't matter, they don't get my money, my holidays, or my time. This year, when November rolled around, there were no invites from my parents, no group text, just silence. So I filled it. I bought a turkey because Ben wanted the real thing this time. We watched videos on how not to burn the house down frying it. Lily planned desserts like it was a project at school. I invited Malik and his boyfriend. Dana asked if she could drop by for pie after doing a quick round at her parents' house. Of course, I said. Thanksgiving afternoon. My little rental was loud and messy. Kids' laughter, adult conversation, actual warmth that didn't feel forced. As we were setting the table, I pulled 2 extra chairs from the garage and added them at the end. Ben frowned. Who are those for? Anyone who chooses to treat us right, I said. Could be now, could be later. For now, they'll just sit there. He shrugged and went back to arguing about mashed potato lumps. Halfway through dinner, Lily looked at the empty chairs. Are those for Grandma and Grandpa? She asked quietly. They're for anybody who wants to be part of our family and actually acts like it. I said, if that's them someday, great. If it isn't, that's okay too. She thought about it for a moment, then got up and left the room. When she came back, she was holding her ragged stuffed rabbit. She set it gently on one of the empty chairs and buckled the chair's strap around its middle. There, she said. Now it's not empty. Malik laughed. That rabbit has better seating than I do. Everyone chuckled. The moment slid into the general noise of clinking forks and bad jokes. But I kept looking at that chair, at the rabbit, at my kids. Later, after pie, Dana and I stood at the sink washing dishes. I saw your parents yesterday, she said. They're still telling everyone you abandoned the family. I rolled my eyes. Of course, I told them they've got it backwards. She said, you didn't abandon anyone. You just stopped paying to be mistreated. I didn't have a witty comeback. I just looked out into the living room where Ben was trying to teach Lily a card game. Both of them laughing, completely at ease in a house that finally felt like their home. For years, I'd let my parents treat me like a walking wallet and my kids like background noise. This time, the bill came to me and I finally said no. No yelling, no big speech, just one comment on a Facebook post, a call to a realtor, a few clicks in my bank account. In a simple sentence I keep repeating when the guilt creeps in. I won't fund a family my kids don't belong to. That's the drama-free, no disappointment rule I can actually live.